Now, this one's one of my favorites. MRAs try actually saying that they're suffering from objectification. I've seen it before, that fitness magazines showing ripped men are oppressive towards fat or lean men who don't have idealized bodies. First of all, the idea of objectification came from rape culture. While I don't normally like using trigger words like patriarchy and rape culture, we can't deny their existence.
Well, actually, we can.
And when you think on it, men are hardly, if ever, knocked on for not having a body like John Cena or David Beckham.
Okay, so when a woman is judged solely on her appearance, which is objectification, basically she is being judged on her value on the sexual marketplace. Now, keeping this in mind, let's have a listen again to what this guy said right at the start of his video.
It's where men who have been single all their lives start projecting their bitterness about how women don't talk to them, and they just march around bitching about their so-called oppression at the hands of feminism.
Now, the fact that he's using our sexual marketplace value, or what he perceives as our sexual marketplace value, as an insult, would suggest that men also have a sexual marketplace value. Now, this sexual marketplace value may not put as much emphasis on appearance, although judging by some of the images he's used throughout this video, you could argue that it does. Nonetheless, there is a male version of objectification. Usually it revolves around how good of a provider the man is. If a woman is unemployed, it's not really a big hurdle for her getting a date. But if a man's unemployed, then suddenly he's a loser. Of course, you know, this also applies to one of the feminist favourite insults for us, which is, you live in your mother's basement. What this insult is basically saying is, you are not a good provider. So if we're going to acknowledge that objectification is a thing, that females are judged based on their sexual marketplace value, then we also need to acknowledge that males have a similar thing. If we're going to claim that it's wrong to judge females in such a way, then we need to be consistent in our arguments and claim that it's wrong for males to be judged in such a way. Not to mention it reinforces outdated gender roles, which feminists claim to be fighting against, except when they can use them to insult people they disagree with, at which point they don't really seem to be fighting hard against them, do they? Funny that. And by throwing around childish insults like this guy has, he has just proven himself to be a complete and utter hypocrite. Not to mention a complete moron. Oh, yeah, but I'll let him continue to prove that. Next.
But you'll always find a woman being knocked down for not looking like Kate Upton. I can safely say that, well, admittedly, I have a bit of a feminine body. I'm not going to elaborate on how of universal squeamishness, but I'm not jacked or a bodybuilder. And despite this, girls still talk to me quite a lot. It could help that I'm 6'2.5" and tan because of my ethnicity, but height doesn't mean much since you could be 7 feet tall and still be ugly as fuck. Thing is, objectification affects women far more than men. I did some research. What I found in my studies was that fat girls were 10 times more likely to be judged for their body types than boys.
And what you will fail to mention is that often this judgment comes from other women. But I'm suspecting you're just going to ignore that and blame it all on men somehow, correct?
Now, why is it that most of the MRAs bitching about this are people you wouldn't want to fuck anyway? That's what I'm asking.
And here we have another example of sex shaming in place of an actual argument. Well done. So what he's saying is it's wrong to make fun of fat girls because that's objectification, but it's perfectly okay to sex shame a group of men because you disagree with their beliefs. No hypocrisy there whatsoever.
Oh well, guess we'll never know beyond any excuse hypocrisy can come up with. Another trump card MRAs like bringing up is circumcision. This one's really stupid. Let's talk about circumcision. Circumcision is a religious tradition. You follow me? Religious tradition. Where an infant boy's foreskin is sliced off. I'm ignoring the health benefits it provides since MRAs don't care about that, so...
You mean the health benefits which have been debunked by every major health organisation in the world? Is that the health benefits that you're talking about?
Why should I? Apparently it's oppressive that girls don't get circumcised.
You fucking idiot. We're against both. You fucking moron. Nice attempt at a straw man, you fucking piece of shit.
For one thing, girls don't have dicks, and I don't think you can traditionally circumcise a vagina. Second, only Jewish boys can be circumcised.
Wow, we have just entered a whole new level of fucking stupidity here. Wow. Well, first of all, Muslims are also circumcised for religious reasons. And non-Jews and non-Muslims are circumcised every fucking day. You fucking moron. Seriously.
If you're a Christian or a Muslim, your dick ain't getting touched by a scalpel.
So he actually thinks that roughly 50% of the American male population are Jewish. Yeah.
Third, female circumcision is mutilating their reproductive system to prevent them from enjoying sex or even reproducing.
First of all, he ignores the 4 different types of female circumcision and what they entail. And second of all, he ignores that circumcision was introduced in the West to reduce masturbation. And this was done for religious reasons. But, you know, just ignore history, all the evidence, and just make shit up. It works better that way, doesn't it?
These two are in no way compatible, and any reasoning MRAs use aren't stable or sensible enough to carry a debate along.
Well, actually, some forms of female circumcision are comparable to male circumcision, and some are even less harmful. Admittedly, though, some are more harmful. But regardless of what you believe is more harmful or less harmful, it doesn't change the fact that both are fucking wrong. Yeah, I really don't care if it is a religious tradition. It's still fucking wrong. If someone wants to get it done when they're an adult, if you turn 18 and you decide that you'd like a piece of your genitals cut off because of some, 2,000-year-old book or some shit, then by all means, go right ahead and do it. It's your body, your choice. But to force it on newborns is fucking monstrous. Both are wrong, both should be banned, both male and female.
The draft. You know, the thing that every man is legally required to have signed up for. Remember when I said that MRAs distort facts? This is one of them. MRAs like to say that men are enlisted for selective service at birth. That's not true at all. I was not born enlisted.
Okay, so there are many feminists who also claim to be against the draft. Are you going to criticise them as well? Of course not. You only see this as a problem when MRAs make a fuss about it. Yeah, no hypocrisy here whatsoever. Of course, this exact same argument can also be made for circumcision. There are many feminists who claim that they are against male circumcision. Once again, I don't think you're going to be criticising them, are you? Only MRAs. How strange is that?
In fact, a draft hasn't been implemented since the Vietnam War. And the reason males are only chosen for a draft is because our body types are meant for war and other arduous tasks. So, even so, your chances of being drafted are practically zero.
Practically zero. Which isn't fucking zero, is it? There is a possibility of it. But let's use his logic for a second on his previous argument about female circumcision. The chances of that happening to a female in the West are practically zero. So, using his logic, we really shouldn't worry about it? Is that what he's saying? Now, at this time, I don't think the draft is one of the most urgent of men's rights issues. I think there are far more pressing issues we could deal with first. But it is clearly the perfect example of a double standard, where there is a requirement placed on males that is not placed on females, based on nothing but gender. Obviously, if this was reversed, there would be a huge outcry from everyone. Do you not get the fucking point?
And on to the best part. Abuse and rape. One of the biggest defenses MRAs use is that no one cares when men get abused or raped. Though they word it exactly like that, despite the fact that they will usually get comfort from other people like a woman would. Despite the difference being, women get abused and raped more than men do.
Well, not if you look at the figures from the CDC. But apart from that, saying because it happens to one group more than another group that we should ignore the second group is hardly a fucking good argument, is it?
So that's why they talk about it happening to women more. 17 million women in America alone are rape or sexual assault victims. What about men? Around 2 million. The percentage of a woman getting abused is 29%, while as for a man, it's 10%. None of this 40% bullshit MRAs have been trying to get you to believe. But why is female rape and abuse taken more seriously outside of the fact that it happens more? Well, it affects them more.
So, he is making one of two arguments here. Either he is saying that women are emotionally weaker than men, or he is saying that men's pain just doesn't count as much as women's pain. Either way, he's pretty much a cunt.
Naturally, women aren't as strong as men are. Don't get the wrong idea. I know plenty of girls who can kick my ass. But men typically are stronger, and so their damage output is significantly more than a woman's.
Okay, so the idiot is making the assumption that all forms of rape are, someone waiting in the bushes who jumps out and wrestles someone to the ground and forcibly penetrates them, and that rape has to involve some kind of physical force of one person physically forcing themselves on another, which of course totally ignores things like coercion. Now, if you look at rape statistics, they of course include things like coercion. Well, they include coercion when women are the victims, but they tend to exclude coercion when males are the victims. How strange is that? So a male coercing a woman into sex is apparently rape, but when a woman coerces a man into sex, it's strangely not. And we could make the same argument when it comes to alcohol. Clearly there is a point where someone is too intoxicated to consent, but according to some feminists, that's any woman who's had so much as one drink, whereas the same consideration isn't given to men. A man can be blind drunk, he can be passed out actually, and if a woman takes advantage of him, well, it's technically not rape, is it? This is what we call a double standard. But of course, Slothboy, being of below average intelligence, doesn't really understand the nuances of what rape actually is, and just sees it as a big, strong, bad man jumping out of the bushes and wrestling a poor, helpless, defenseless woman to the ground and forcing himself upon her. I think Slothboy might have been watching too many movies, too many bad movies. But, I'm not really surprised that he can only deal in one-dimensional stereotypes.